Alright, so my Nintendo launched 10 years ago. Man, that was a time. I know a lot of people have said 2016 was one of the best years before everything started to go downhill. 2016, however, was the year my Nintendo launched, so be it how it may, I guess that was a pretty big deal. Of course, my Nintendo was supposed to be the successor for Club Nintendo. Club Nintendo, I did experience that, not a ton, due to the fact that that was like during a limiting time on the internet for me. My Nintendo, I'll be real, I think I prefer Club Nintendo. Like Club Nintendo, it had cool rewards. It was very easy to abuse the system. That's not exactly why I liked it though. Uh, you could just get stuff super easily, rewards, and I mainly got digital rewards because I was a silly kid and I didn't realize that physical rewards were better, but hey, at least I got some. But, it's not like my Nintendo doesn't have physical rewards. I guess I'm getting a little ahead of myself there. But yeah, so my Nintendo, of course, was mainly meant to be the successor to Club Nintendo. It had a connection with the mobile games. The fact that Fire Emblem Heroes launched as well, Super Mario Run, all that kind of stuff, Animal Crossing, Pocket Camp, and it's kind of a shell of its former self. I say that as in where you don't really see the mobile games a whole lot. You don't really see like a lot of the you don't even see gold points anymore. It's like there's like this My Mario thing that's happening nowadays with My Nintendo. I guess like they might even make like a My Zelda line, maybe My Animal Crossing, My Kirby, maybe. So that kind of stuff. Clearly, it's meant to be an evolution of My Nintendo. What I can say is I don't really see My Nintendo sticking around forever because like every program Nintendo seems to make, it's going to get discontinued eventually. I mean, it is the internet, of course. That is the inevitable. Nintendo just kind of accelerates that as well because this is a life system that is built on a house of cards. And if one thing goes down, everything goes down. So, yeah, continuing with that, though, my Nintendo, during the first few years, it was pretty neat. There were some discounts with like 30% off select classic games, even like bigger budget titles, like stuff like Dragon Quest 8. That's not even a first party Nintendo game. That's pretty freaking cool because that game was expensive, and I remember when that 30% discount happened, I definitely took advantage of that. I think you had to use platinum points to get those, but yeah, there were two different types of points. Platinum points were points that you could get mainly from playing apps. In fact, there's like actually dedicated platinum points that can be used as regular platinum points for mobile apps. It's a little confusing. You don't really see it a whole ton nowadays. It's still possible to get. In fact, that's probably the easiest way to get platinum points. Or you can do things like log into the eShop, which, since the 3DS and Wii U eShop is down, technically, you can't get those anymore. And that was probably one of the easiest things to do, is just weekly log into the eShop, and that was pretty freaking neat to say the least. Wii U 3DS, that was a big thing. This is like a year before the Switch release, so my Nintendo was kind of leading up to that as well. And then you had your gold points, which these could be obtained mainly through digital purchases, and you could link your 3DS and Wii U account later on as well, where you could get gold points for purchasing different stuff on the Wii U and 3DS digital purchases, of course, and then you could use those gold points to eventually use them to pay for things on the Nintendo eShop. I believe it was just for the Switch eShop, but those don't work anymore. You can't get those anymore because Nintendo discontinued them because they were too good. You could also get gold points, I think, from buying at applicable Nintendo stores in person. I'm pretty sure that's impossible to do as well. It's funny because that golden container is still there on the webpage, and I wonder if it's going to be there forever. It's kind of funny because that was a pretty big thing. I think a lot of people really used gold points, and I remember I knew a lot of people that were just flat out purchased entire games with how many gold points they accumulated. And you eventually they allowed you to be able to use physical games to get gold points. Not a whole lot, but that was that. You could also get exclusive digital titles such as Flipnote Studio 3D through my Nintendo. I was huge in Flipnote Studio as a kid. It is nice to see a lot of people coming back with it and remembering it. But that seems to be the case with a lot of trends from way back in the day. That was literally my YouTube before YouTube was Flipnote Studio. No, I didn't upload anything on there. I watched a lot of stuff, and I had a lot of fun with that, and I feel like it was probably the basis for a lot of ADHD, because you'd watch the same thing over and over and over. I mean, you could even technically say they were kind of like early reels or something like that as well, so be it how it may. I'm not using the word TikTok, and I should be using it. I don't know why I'm holding back from saying that, but basically early TikToks, because there's a lot of memes and stuff. I probably Vine to be a better comparison. I don't even know why I'm talking about this. We're not going to continue too much from there, but moving forwards with that, we also had, well, other digital titles like Twilight Princess Picross. That was about all it was. It was an extremely budget-heavy title. I think it's one of the cheapest things Nintendo ever made, because they're just trying to put stuff on My Nintendo. But probably the coolest purchase for free that you could have got with your points was WarioWare Touched. And that was a digital-only DS game you could get, which was really freaking cool that you could download a DS game on the system. And you couldn't do that a lot with a lot of those, probably because, well, pretty sure the DS titles acted... I'd have to double check this on my system memory. They acted as like almost akin to like a DSiWare title, and those had to be saved in the system memory. And the system memory is very limited on the 3DS, which is unfortunate. You can't upgrade that. You can store the DSiWare titles on an SD card, but the problem is you can't play them. You have to move them back and forth, so that's pretty freaking annoying. And I don't know, I want to talk too much about that, but I feel like once the eShop goes completely down, you can't re-download stuff, then that's going to be a problem, because I think you have to delete stuff if you want to, like, have all the DSiWare titles on your system. I don't know, that's why I didn't purchase too many of those when the system was going down, the eShop was going down, but, a lot of cool things. You could get, as I said, discounts on virtual console titles, like even like Earthbound, for example, 30% off that. That was really freaking cool. Maybe $1 off or something. Sure, it wasn't a whole lot, but it's like you wouldn't really see these virtual console titles go on sale. Heck, they're not even technically on sale on a whole nother level, as I'm talking like the only like virtual console stuff you can buy nowadays is Pokemon Fire Red and Leaf Green, and then also console archives, which is overly expensive games just to see how much people are willing to spend for digital titles, which there's barely anything even out there. So, Virtual Console is basically non-existent now. Nintendo realized it was too good, and they need to limit people. So, that's how it be. That's how it be. But eventually, in 2020, that great year, the very end of it, we got physical My Nintendo rewards. There are some very select few amount of rewards available. Stuff like a Xenoblade phone holder, or Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition stickers. Same thing with that phone holder, the Definitive Edition as well. And I think there was like a Animal Crossing New Horizons like bag as well. And I thought I got like a third reward too. I think there was like some Splatoon stuff or something, but definitely the 2 Xenoblade things. And this was pretty freaking cool. And not a lot of people really talked about it. In fact, My Nintendo still has physical rewards to this day. It's just, you mainly got to use Platinum points, and unlike Club Nintendo, where they didn't charge shipping, My Nintendo does charge shipping. It's not that much. It's like a couple of bucks. I think, pretty sure it's under, I think it really hovers around 10. It depends. I've noticed it changes before. It's like hovers around $10, but, there's that factor to keep in mind. And yeah, there's a lot of cool My Nintendo rewards. Some of them are just like whatever, and I talked about cheap factor. Maybe that's what My Nintendo really is, but in a sense, you are technically paying for these now. The points are technically easier to get, but like you do have to pay for shipping, and you can get free shipping as well if you combine it with other items. But a little annoyance I remember about My Nintendo rewards was like the main factor of like there being just the annoyance of, I don't know why they did this. It was like to get a physical reward, you had to like buy a code by redeeming your Platinum points, and then you put that code into the Nintendo like online store, and then they like gave you the opportunity to buy it. But if you put that code in and the stuff was out of stock, Nintendo didn't stop releasing those codes, so there was more codes than there were items. And I remember getting screwed over for this multiple times, so I did not like that system at all. They did take that away eventually, where it was just the platinum points got deducted as you purchased the item. So that was at least nice, but that was very annoying because that just wasted my time. At least didn't waste my money, but, you know, time's pretty valuable compared to money, to say the least. So, yeah, there was that factor that was definitely something to keep in mind. And, you know, we still see a bunch of cool My Nintendo physical rewards, and we've seen apps go away, we've seen gold points go away, unfortunately. You know, there's like some other things you can do as well, like redeem for maybe, say, like digital posters that you can like make in literally like, I don't know, under a minute on Photoshop, some applicable Photoshop application. So that's pretty sad that, you know, there's that. I guess if you just are looking to burn some points and, you know, you as I said, time's sometimes more valuable than money. Maybe you don't want to waste time and you just want some crummy looking red background. And, that red looks disgusting. I don't know why it does, but, you know, you can also get them for, like, not just PC backgrounds, but phone backgrounds as well. I mean, there's not really too much to say for that, of course. You know, of course, digital games, or excuse me, mobile games were taken down. The only really ones that kind of last now are like Fire Emblem Heroes, and you can still unlock some stuff for Super Mario Run. I'm honestly surprised that game, I'm calling it right now, that game's probably going to be taken down, like, before 2030. Like, it'll be delisted. You can only get some Super Mario Run stuff through, like, unlock through My Nintendo. So, you know, they really were trying to push this My Nintendo thing. You know, I think it's definitely in a point of where, like, Nintendo's just like, all right, we've got this reward system, we need to use it. And I think most people just don't even realize it exists. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if this also discontinued in, you know, the 2030s. Like, you know, Club Nintendo, I think it launched in 2007 or something. I don't remember that one, but I do remember it, like, you know, got discontinued in like 2015. You know, it was really cool being able to get Mewtwo with that as well, but I definitely think it does pale in comparison. Like, it is nice that we've got a continuation, you know, of Club Nintendo, a successor to it, but I think this is like the last of it. Like, this is something from like the 3DS and Wii U era days. We're seeing Nintendo change drastically. Like, they already did change back in the 90s when Gunpei Yokoi didn't like the direction they were going. They were worried about bits and graphics rather than innovation and lateral thinking. And, like, it just keeps getting worse. Like, you know, there was, like, obvious staff members and stuff in Nintendo. But as they leave, you know, stuff's going to change. Philosophies will be different, stuff like that. So, unfortunately, this is something from the 3DS and Wii U era days. And, you know, when Miiverse was still a thing, don't expect this to last for much longer. Like, I am surprised, like, you know, you can see here lots of news there all the time, lots of connections with My Nintendo. I think what's going to happen is the Nintendo Today app is going to phase, you know, My Nintendo out, because it was kind of like more of like a, you know, that kind of thing. They have that My Mario product line, but it's like, I kind of see that as a desperation move. I don't even know what the wooden block thing. You can download like some app. I haven't even done any of this. I probably should have for that, but like, it definitely feels like, you know, kind of like a hash-in. Yeah. With that being said, then though, that is My Nintendo